Luke or Mark, so I decided to write down Luke, and if it happens to be Mark, just let me know, but Luke just writes a bunch of hearts. He has dark hair, really vivid eyes, tells me he passes before his time, suddenly. He takes partial responsibility. Chelsea said, my son Luke passed from SIDS at a month old. Oh my gosh, trigger warning. I was like, Mark, are you up there with him? And Mark appears, but he has a hat on. And then a grandfather appears that served, and then a grandma that passed of like a heart attack or some sort of underlying medical thing that comes up and gets her. She's with them. So Luke, grandma, grandpa, and who I would assume is this Mark guy right here. So I'm going to say A, he's not alone. Yes, he is here. Did he have dark eyes? What did he end up passing from? So he's surprised he made it as long as he did. But you said SIDS, and SIDS is sudden infant death syndrome. I'm like, give me an explanation. He keeps making me yawn. It's like the third yawn with this reading. Now granted, he was only a month old, and we say it says, but it almost feels like an underdeveloped something. Okay, and sorry, I was just in a spot here. So Chelsea says that her dad passed from cancer. Okay, Luke passed from SIDS in his sleep, sudden infant death syndrome. Okay. And then she said Mark passed from cancer. And I'm like, seeing the lay down, seeing the decline, seeing him being taken care of by people. I don't know if we still have his hat or an item of his clothing in honor of his memory. He said you still have dreams of him repeating numbers on the clock. Then I go back to this one. Such deep communication. There's a sense of feeling or knowing, or like just that night 2 hours later, like 2 hours earlier, you guys share like this incredible, like, where you just meet eyes at just the right moment, like it was like an eye-opening experience, and then it happens like a couple hours later. I don't think you're planning on having any more kids in this lifetime. I can't see him being gifted back. I don't think you're going to have more. Do you want more in this lifetime? I have not been looking at your responses. Okay, I had COVID when I went into labor with Luke, but they tested him multiple times before he left the hospital. He said it was negative, and when they let me bring him home, he passed 2 weeks later, and you got him gifted, and then you got him gifted back. Do you have another one? Are you going to be having another child in this lifetime? I'm communicating with him pretty well. He's got these vivid eyes, unless you've got another child born after him with vivid eyes. But I've got some pretty clear communication here. Okay, and with Dad, he's talking about family, someone helping take care of him at the end of his life. And then he said he passed of cancer, and he seems like a little bit yellow, a little bit gray. He goes, "It's so weird, Kato, I died on a good day." Like, that's usually how it happens. And he says, "The stage was set. I have my youngest who's a year old now. Yes, we had a lot of people taking care of him." Alright, he talks about the stage being set when he ends up passing. He talks about, like, let's say his favorite music is being played, and then you play a favorite music at a celebration of life, and now it's like music is one of the things you recognize his energy with. Like the repeating songs, his favorite band, certain song comes on, stops you in your tracks. And then this grandpa starts dancing a little bit. Oops, my bad. He had a really good night before my dad Mark passed. Oh my goodness. So he did have a bunch of people taking care of him. And then he goes, "Kato." Yes, through Nickelback. And so then he says, I really love that. We had a lot of people, hold on, we had a lot of people taking care of him. He had because he had said before, he goes, "Kato, it's so weird, like I died on a good day." And he had a really good, not Nickelback, and he had a really good day right before he ends up passing. And then she says, "Yeah, we actually bond essentially through Nickelback." Another thing is he's talking about you having like a piece of him, like an article of clothing or maybe a hat that he wore. It's got to be fabric so you'll be able to smell it. And then you still have a small memorial for Luke, like a blanket or a teddy bear sitting on display in honor of his memory. They communicate a lot. Look at these people. Look at these spirits. Oh my goodness. There's actually 4 of them in here. Let's not forget we got Grandma, Grandpa, and then these 2. Took them all to come on into this thing. Alright, and the next person we're going to do is Tira. I have a shirt, and I had a teddy bear made for Luke from his clothing. Okay, so you have a shirt from Dad, something in honor of his memory, and then I said, "What do you have?" You have clothing, you have a teddy bear in display in honor of his memory, and accurately, you have a teddy bear from Luke's own clothing that we have in honor of his memory. So he comes through and like identifies that. Honestly, it just like, I'm like, I want answers. This is a 1-month-old baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, tell me why. And so it's almost like the good die young is the only answer. It's almost like he just wasn't meant to be here for long. It's almost like he didn't have that long of a soul's mission. He just came to bring experiences to people. Like, it was kind of over before it began. It was almost a too good to be true scenario. Like, it wasn't, I'm not saying it wasn't even meant to be real, but he just needed to bless us for a minute. That's what it makes me feel like.